Oh boy, Dynamite. It was on. It watched me mostly. I'm not even gonna hold you up. This show was super, super, super dry. Very, very dry. Dead fish. This is a dead fish show. My goodness. We're gonna talk about it though, because I did watch it, so we're gonna talk about it. But first, we're gonna talk about Dave Meltzer. He likened the attendance of AEW to WCW 2000. So let's get into our reports of AEW Dynamite from January the 24th, 2023. So Dave Meltzer says this: AEW attendance is not good. One of the things is like there were a lot of weak advances in the last quarter, but they had a lot of shows where they got late buys, whether it was bringing in Okada or Mystico or having MJF or Kenny Omega having a match, or just good local promotion, or lowering ticket prices, things like that. And so I kind of got lulled into the sense of, okay, advances suck, but it's not that bad. But it really wasn't that bad the last quarter. Well, now it's that bad. It looks worse. Wednesday's show, they were under 2,000. To me, under 4,000 for Dynamite is where it gets to be below so-so. 4,000 to me is fine for AEW. Under 4,000, not so great. Under 3,000, pretty bad. Under 2,000 is really bad, especially when you're coming to a city once a year. They've got Tulsa coming up. They've never been to Tulsa. They're under 2,000 there as well. And then the last week, St. Louis on Saturday, when I saw that number, St. Louis is a historically great wrestling city. It's not like they come there often. And to do under 3,000 on a Saturday night, it's really not good at all. Another problem that they have is that every time they go back to a market, in more cases than not, the attendance goes down. There's always exceptions to every rule, but in most cases, than not, they go down. And it's like, okay, when you're at 4,000 and you're going down, not so great. When you're at 2,800 and you're going down in a major city, where are you headed? You're going now to WCW 2000. And people hate when I use that term, but they're getting there. And that's a scary place to be. There's a lot of things that they could do, but they haven't. I know that Kosha Irby's in, and that's actually his job. His job is going to be to get this stuff up. It's way too early to put any blame on him. He just got there. Even if you're the greatest promoter in the world, people are going to buy more or less based on the product and the excitement of the product. WCW had Zane Breslov in 2000, and they couldn't sell tickets because nobody wanted to buy tickets to the product. And with AEW, the number of people who want to buy tickets to the product is, they'll buy the pay-per-views, they'll watch Wednesday night TV, but they're not going in any great numbers to the shows. Well, I hate when people compare things to WCW in 2000. I absolutely cannot stand that canard. I wish people would not do that, but they insist on doing it anyway. I don't even want to talk about the comparison between AEW and WCW in 2000. I don't even want to discuss that because I'm not even sure what the attendance records were in WCW in 2000. But for the sake of argument, I will take a look, given we know, at least we have a rough estimate of what they did on this show. So tonight they were in Savannah, Georgia for Dynamite. This is January the 24th. WrestleTix says they distributed 2,187 tickets. It was up 367 since the last update a day ago. The last time they were there was 2022, July the 13th for a Dynamite. They did 3,700. So they're down from the last time they were here. Meltzer also put out that the average attendance for WCW in 2000 was 2,600. Well, let's put this into perspective because it's not exactly an apples to apples comparison. One, I'm pretty sure WCW got to at least to do the whole year. We're still just in January. All right. So we're still in January. So we can have this conversation maybe in December. We can have this conversation about, comparing the year average of WCW in 2000 to the year average of AEW. Now, maybe they're comparing 2023 to 2000. I don't know. I don't know exactly what those figures are, and trying to look it up is more work than I'm willing to put in, really. That being said, I did want to compare one thing. So I looked at the WCW show that would be the closest to the most recent Dynamite, which means we just went through what WrestleTix said about Dynamite's attendance, which means that it was around 2,187 tickets. That was the number, 2,187. This WCW show, which was January 24th, 2000, in the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, 12,106. 6,262 paid. So over double that number. Now, the idea that they're doing WCW in 2000 in their attendance, if this site, which is called the History of WWE, if this site is correct, they're below WCW in 2000. So that's why I don't like this argument. This was 23 years ago. This was an episode of Nitro as well, that featured, just for kicks, Terry Funk versus Bam Bam Bigelow in a hardcore match, Lex Luger and Booker T, Billy Kidman versus Vampiro, Sid Vicious versus Don Harris, Norman Smiley versus Shannon Moore, The Wall versus Kid Romeo. Who the fuck is Kid Romeo? Psychosis versus Kaz Hayashi. Oh my word. The tag team championship match, Big Vito and Johnny the Bull versus Fit Finlay and Brian Knobbs. And of course, the main event was Sid Vicious versus Kevin Nash. That match was 6 minutes. Oh my God. But this was a substantially bigger city, being Los Angeles, California. And it's not really an apples to apples comparison. Not only because it's two different markets, it's two different eras. All right. But even worse than this, when you start talking about the overall attendance of WCW in 2000, you have to take into account that they were doing house shows. AEW does not do house shows. So when you talk about the average attendance, if you were to take out the average attendance of house shows, WCW's average might actually be higher. See, I don't know how he's actually calculating these numbers. Dynamite last week, January 17th, they distributed 2,280 tickets. Now, this doesn't mean that 2,280 people bought tickets, but that was 2,280 tickets distributed. January 17th, 2000, WCW, 10,646 in attendance, 8,150 paid. No, they're not doing WCW in 2000's numbers. They're doing well below. Now, this month is just got started, right? There's only 4 weeks in the month. These are 2 weeks out of the month. If you were to do, I'm just looking at Nitros. I'm not even looking at Thunders and all and house shows and all that. I'm not comparing it to Collision either. All you got to do is just say A show to A show, 23 years apart, different eras. It's not a fair comparison. You can look at Dynamite and tell that it's a cold fish product. You can just look at it and tell it's ice cold. But comparing it to WCW in 2000, it gives people the shivers because they're like, oh my God, it's going to go out of business. Like, WCW in 2000 still had more people watching the show, still had more people going to the show, more people playing the video games than AEW does right now. Stop comparing these two. Stop talking about WCW. I'm tired of the WCW comparisons. Enough's enough. AEW is WCW's Mike Von Erich. All right? That's what it is. It's the soft little brother. You're never going to become the top dog as long as you're in the shadow of WCW. They did do something WCW has never done in terms of, Wembley doing a massive number there. Whether you believe it was the 70,000 or the 80,000. Massive number. WCW never did that before. But when you look at just general popularity, pop culture, there is no comparison. When Tony Khan is out here talking about, if Ted Turner knew more about wrestling, or knew as much about wrestling as Tony Khan did, and WCW still would have been in business. Look at the comparisons. And this is Vince Russo running WCW at this point. Now there's just no two ways about it. Now, yes, there was still some I guess you'd say residuals from WCW having a really hot part, a couple of years before that, and they were still kind of coasting off of that. But I don't like the comparison. To me, it's not a fair comparison. It's not a right comparison. WCW was still popular in 2000. Far more popular than it is now. WCW in 2000, well, it's doing numbers that Raw today would be asking for. Would be begging for. And I'm not even talking about television. I'm talking about attendance. And this company was not long for this world in 2000, which, again, you should say and should let people know, WCW went out of business because of the merger. Not because attendance got so low or TV ratings got super low. It went out of business because there were people at Turner who did not want WCW. They never wanted it there, even when it was popular. Even when it was at its highest point, they did not like it. So please keep into perspective. WCW did not die because of bad business metrics. Yes, the business metrics were going down. It was trending downwards. But that's not why the company went out of business. And even though one of the huge business metrics was more money going out than money coming in, which is a classic line from the documentary that Booker T said. And one of the reasons why so much money was going out was because WCW was giving talent huge contracts. And AEW is doing exactly the same thing. Huge contracts. But that's neither here nor there. That's the only note I really wanted to talk about. So now let's get into this dry ass show. How about that? All right, Samoa Joe, he comes out. He basically says no more free shots at the title. Everybody's got to earn it. And anybody who wants to earn their shot will have everything taken away from them, have their soul crushed. Samoa Joe, he's a tough guy with no neck. Hook then comes out looking like a Tony Hawk pro skater. I'm just tired of Hook. Jesus Christ, where's his chest? Anyway, he has the microphone up like he about to start rapping Mama Said Knock You Out, and then says, I'm going to see you again. Shook Joe's hand and got real close like he was trying to intimidate him. I don't know when, I don't know where. I'm just like, oh, get your ass. So Samoa Joe says, yeah, I'm sure. Then 6 security on him. They get this refuse out of my face. Then Hook, of course, beat up the security because he's tough. He had to get some of his heat back. This did nothing for Samoa Joe, really. I mean, this was all to try to revitalize Hook, which is fine, I guess. But, a storyline would actually help a little bit better. Hangman Page versus Penta El Zero Miedo. This match went on forever. It just seemed to go on and on and on and on. And it just kept doing stuff and doing stuff. I kept looking away and then looking up like, this match is still going on? Yep, still going on. They're still doing stuff and doing stuff and doing stuff. I'm like, oh my God, it just ended. And then finally it ended. Hangman Page's mustache. I said last week that it was distracting. This week, just as distracting. I don't know why. He's no Don Fry. He's no Rick Rude. All right? You got to be a certain kind of man to walk around with a mustache. The Young Bucks, Roderick Strong, these are not mustache guys. They're not even beard guys. Just shave your facial hair. Shave your beard. All right? Just get rid of it. It feels ironic. It feels like you're trying to mock macho guys. That's what it feels like. You feel like you're trying to make fun of people. Shave that shit. So, because it's connected, we want to talk about Swerve Strickland and Jeff Hardy right now. So, Swerve Strickland defeats Jeff Hardy. I actually was very interested in this, But then this match went on forever. Look, I love Jeff. Jeff has been complaining a lot about not being on Dynamite and being limited to Rampage. He worked Rampage against Darby Allin. He lost that match too. They seem to have been doing a mockery of his walkout of WWE at the time by, I think he fist bumped Darby and then jumped over the barricade or something like that. I thought they may have been going to turn him heel or something, but they didn't do that here. Him and Swerve didn't have a bad match. Swerve got as much out of Jeff as you could get. Jeff did his spot where he runs and jumps off the stairs and, collided into the barricade and almost took Swerve's upper body off. It was funny. It was entertaining. Swerve ends up winning the match, of course. So then Swerve and Hangman Page, they get into an argument backstage because they're both undefeated and the rankings are back. If you hadn't heard, the rankings are back. What is my ranking? Where am I going to be at in the top 5 or 10? Like, maybe nobody gives a shit. Then Hangman Page said, "New year, new me," to Swerve's boast of being the last person to beat Hangman Page. Shave his fucking mustache. New year, new me. So then they actually did something that I like. This is one of the low-key wrestling things that I really like. Dealer's choice. Next week, each man will wrestle, but he will wrestle an opponent picked by the other guy. WWE calls it pick your poison. I don't hate that idea either. It's the same concept. But I like this. This would be better for the Cope Open, wouldn't it? Instead of just random guy to wrestle Edge, what about Christian picking the guys? And each week it gets progressively more difficult because Christian is picking progressively more difficult guys. You could have people trying to be like a mercenary for Christian or whatever. I'll take him out. I'll break his neck or whatever. That would be great. I think they did that with MJF, right? Where he had to pick, I think it was Cody Rhodes' opponents. I like this idea. I like the dealer's choice idea. I don't like watching Hangman Page wrestle. I'm not interested in that. I don't want to see him go 15 minutes with Curryman or nothing like that. But I like the idea, at least, that they're going to be picking each other's opponents. Orange Cassidy is backstage. He says he's going to wrestle Roderick Strong in 6 weeks. But he's not going to wait that long to defend his title. They threw together some kind of vomit fatal 4-way. And the winner of that match is going to wrestle him on Collision. It's like, this is just stupid. Let's move on. Trent Beretta apparently is made of steel because he wrestled Wardlow for, it seemed like 15 minutes. Bro, Wardlow, my God, man. Do you not know that they're making fun of you? Like, can you not see that? You getting little broed really, really hard. Trent Beretta fucking sucks. He's going nowhere in the business. Nowhere. Why is he even getting too much offense in on Wardlow? I don't get it. These guys are obsessed with wrestling matches instead of trying to make stars. I've already given up on Wardlow and AEW. It's just not going to happen. But every time I see this, it must be called out. It just must be called out. Why is Trent Beretta in this match so long? He's power driving Wardlow, dropping him all on his head and neck and shit. I'm like, come on, man. Get this shit out of here. Wardlow won the match eventually, but it wasn't quick enough for my tastes. Wardlow and the Undisputed Kingdom was going to kick the shit in of Trent Beretta after the match, but Orange Cassidy and Taylor came out there and helped them. So this was the big heels of the show, the central heels that they built for months of storytelling that they used to get to this point when it comes to the devil. And now they don't do anything. They're not feuding with anybody in particular. They're just kind of off doing random mid-card stuff. Nobody's trying to they put together the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. They did that shit. They put them together and they didn't come out to do anything. They didn't come out to confront these guys. That's what they came together for, isn't it? To fight the Undisputed Kingdom, even though it's now more of them than it is Undisputed Kingdom, guys. Oh, Blessed be. Blessed be. Wardlow, I feel so bad for you. Every day that you get older, you're going to regret staying in AEW, boy. Even if he was just going to TNA. I'm not even saying that everybody great needs to go to WWE. He just needs to get out of to AEW. He needs to get out of here, right? He just needs to leave. Just request your release, for Christ's sake. The Young Bucks are backstage. I don't know what they're doing. They look like Hollywood schlubs from the 1920s. They got the newsboy hats. They're still calling themselves Matthew and Nicholas. They look ridiculous. And they're bullying Top Flight. They're the ones who are just showing up, but they're picking on Top Flight for, like, are you guys just coming here? Because now they're the EVPs and it's their job to make a killer show. Like, I don't even, no, just stop. Stop this. I'm going to throw a flag on this one, dog. They suck. They suck really bad. It's embarrassing. It's unfortunate. Deonna Purrazzo and Toni Storm, interesting promo. Could have been better, but interesting. Toni Storm starts talking about Deonna Purrazzo being body shamed, which says it's unfortunate because there's so much more of her to shame, which, pop out of me. Big pop. Then she said that Deonna Purrazzo and her used to be friends, but she has all of her friends are less talented than she is. Then she mentioned something about twisting Deonna Purrazzo's lips. Deonna Purrazzo said she's not here to be friends. She's here to be the world champion. And she's not interested in wrestling this delusional, timeless Toni Storm. She wants to wrestle sleeping on the mat Dojo Toni, who that's who she wants to beat to become the world champion. The old I want to fight the best version of you promo. Find that version of yourself, and that's the one I want to beat. Look inside yourself, or you could just look at your ankle, and you see that they have matching ankle tattoos. Interesting dynamic here. Not only the ankle tattoos, which got a bit ooh from the crowd because it was very dramatic the way that it was done, but also note how Toni was always in black and white, and Deonna was always in color. They're getting smart. Like, it was a couple of weeks ago where when they do a segment like this, Toni would have been in color too. I guess enough people have bitched about it that now they started putting her in black and white, even when she's on stage, which is good. Keep the gimmick up. Now, Deonna exposes that they're best friends. They have matching tattoos, all this stuff. Toni starts trying to fight. It's a mini brawl, and Mariah May saves Toni. And she flees, leaving the title behind, and Deonna Purrazzo poses with the belt. Bully Ray noted on Twitter, and I was thinking the same thing, which is why, I'm going to give him the credit, because he the one tweeted it. And if I was to say it, people would just be like, you just copied Bully Ray. I was thinking the same thing, but he tweeted it out. They didn't tell the story of the ankle tattoo. Now, I don't know when this match is going to happen, so they have plenty of time to do it. So it's not that much of a criticism. But we need the story of why you two have matching tattoos. Like that's what we're waiting for. And I got to tell you, I seen Toni Storm in Japan. Oh my God. I'm not even talking about work rate. I'm talking about work rate. I'm talking soul food and booty shorts. Boy. I turned on NXT. It was an NXT show from like 2021 or like late 2020 or something like that. They were still in the pandemic. Toni Storm was still there. And it was like a tag team match of some description. And Toni Storm was in the match. Brothers and sisters, you're going to have to throw me some bail. Because I really, really missed the best version of Toni Storm. Our cherry lip Paul goddess Toni Storm. Jesus Christ, brother. Now, again, let's move on. I don't want to turn this into a Pog worshiping session. We don't need that right now. This was an interesting segment. It was okay. It felt like it was the beginning of something. Don't know when this match is going to happen, so they have time to finish telling the story. Jon Moxley cut a promo. He's got really nothing to say. except for the Blackpool Combat Club does not have victory parties. They're committed to being the best. You get with the program and get pummeled. I'm going to give my heart and my soul. Blah, 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 blah. He's not having a match with anybody. He's not selling a match with anybody. What's the point of this? Don't know. Johnny TV and Taya Valkyrie, they popped up on this show. They look very sleazy in these ugly coats. I actually like it. I actually like it. They look grungy. I like it. They look dirty. I like this. Anyway, Taya Valkyrie challenged Deonna Purrazzo because she's very familiar with Deonna Purrazzo. Literally seconds later, TNA uploads Deonna Purrazzo versus Taya Valkyrie on their whole Twitter account, and they're promoting it so that people will buy TNA Plus. This is great. I love when TNA does this. I don't know why, but the more they do it, the more I pop at it. The idea of Taya Valkyrie not being on TV forever, and then the first time she gets to be on TV is because she has to do a job for Deonna Purrazzo. Very unfair. Again, I don't think Taya is as good as she has been in the past. I think definitely she's missed a step or two the last couple of years. But her and you would think that they would be so much better. I know that Taya can't stay in TNA forever, for Christ's sake. And I know Johnny can't either. And they've been around for so long that going to TNA just doesn't make any sense for them. But what are they doing in AEW? Like, they're not doing shit. This is the first time I've ever seen them together on... I know they've been doing Collision together, I think. No, not Collision. I'm sorry, Rampage. But this is the first time I've seen them as a couple on television. You might be able to do something fun with them. Or at least try. God damn, at least put up a fight. Try. Next, Thunder Rosa defeated Red Velvet. Thunder Rosa, she's been wrestling on Collision, winning matches, and that's all fun and good. That's fine. My question, Thunder Rosa never lost the women's title, correct? Correct. Why isn't she a top contender for the women's championship? She never lost it. Why is she now grinding at the bottom, trying to defeat, what was this, Anna Jay and Red Velvet? She wrestled Anna Jay, right? If she didn't, don't even bother correcting me, because I don't remember, and I don't need to remember. But, look, poor Red Velvet. She needs to get out of AEW, too, man. She could really probably get pushed in Impact, TNA, or, NWA or something. Red Velvet, I'm just trying to get everybody out of AEW, man. Anybody I see, even a little bit, a modicum of talent, get out of here. Please, go find somewhere. I mean, how long could you be in the same position? You would think that if you were somebody like Red Velvet, you got to look at it and say, there's no upward mobility here. None. No up. It's one thing to, if you're waffling back and forth or whatever. This is she's in the exact same position now that she was when this thing started 4 years ago. That's unfortunate. Sting and Darby Allin. Sting comes out, they talk. Darby talks. Basically saying that Sting had an incredible impact on his career. In 2015, Sting was retired because of a neck injury. He went to Sting's house, trained with them, said, "You still got it, get back in the game." And now he's telling him the same thing, finish your career on your own terms. Let's win the tag team championships. And Sting agrees. Sting wants to do it. So Darby Allin and Sting challenged for the tag team championships. In the very next segment, Big Bill and Ricky Starks actually agreed to the match. So it will happen in 2 weeks. So I'm going to guess Sting and Darby Allin are going to win the tag team championships and then lose them to the Young Bucks at Revolution. I cannot imagine that they're going to retire as the tag team champions. Like, that would be very strange. Very, very strange. But whatever. The Mogul Embassy, the guys who lost to Jay White and the Gun Boys last week. Well, they get another championship match against the Acclaimed, and they lost that match too. That's weird stuff. They did a video for Serena Deeb. I was questioning during Thunder Rosa's match, like, where is Serena Deeb? Like, what is she doing? Like, where has she been? And because they did show the videos for Serena Deeb, but that was like 3 weeks ago at this point. But now they did a new video. She will return on Collision. Everybody is teasing that she's going to be wrestling somebody very, very special on Collision, I'll say don't hold your breath on it being Sasha Banks. Just don't hold your breath. In the main event of the evening, a match that was and one of Tony Khan's special turducken matches where we just throwing shit together and see what happens. Minoru Suzuki versus Edge. And they tried to make it sound like it was going to be a really big deal, that it was going to really matter. And I'm like, this is part of that Cope Open story. You know, Minoru Suzuki is a guy that they only bring in to do jobs. I don't think he ever wins. I would imagine for the AEW fan base, it probably is fun to see this because you hold Minoru Suzuki in such high regard. But I don't hold any real regard for Minoru Suzuki. You know, not saying that he's not, you know, talented guy, but he's like a 50-year-old, 60-year-old guy at this point. You know? And you know he's not going to win. So, like, why are we... This is just, hey, we can have a dream match on television, but, like, who's the dreamer? That's the question. It's not Tommy. You know, well, thank God it wasn't Tommy. Like, who's the dreamer of these matches? This is a dream match. For who? Now, they did work stiff, which is a way of working around when you're not really all that athletic. You tend to work a little bit stiff. Minoru Suzuki botched the Impaler, and then they had the audacity to show the replay. Edge ends up winning with the kill switch. Minoru Suzuki growled in his face instead of shaking his hand. And we just went off the air with Christian looking at Edge in disdain, but not coming out there and doing anything. Didn't say anything all night either. Just a real dry-ass episode of Dynamite. Just dry as hell. It's not good. If you're the kind of person who was interested in Minoru Suzuki versus Edge, did you get your money's worth? Which I know you paid nothing because you probably watched it on television. But did you get your money's worth? Speaking of getting your money's worth, very interesting that, and I'm going to double back to this, you know, Meltzer thing, kind of bookending the video with this. Very interesting that people are willing to pay $50 for the pay-per-views, but not willing to pay $50 for the ticket. That's weird, isn't it? Like the same people who will pay $50 for the pay-per-view, if it was in their town, price deduced to like $20, they probably still wouldn't go. What is that? What's that about? You know, maybe I know because they put more effort into the pay-per-views and there's bigger matches and all the titles are on the line and bigger stars and all that stuff. But it's just a weird decision, you know. Hey, I want to give everybody a lot of credit. I've been going through some stuff, but sitting here, being able to talk wrestling with you guys has made me feel much better. Still struggling, still going through it, but I appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who listens to this video thus far. I should be giving you the like button, but I will accept your likes, and I'll talk to you guys later.